Imagine the Pacific Ocean in June 1942. The sun reflects on an immense sea, seemingly calm. But beneath that calm, a war is being fought that will define the fate of the world. Aircraft roar, carriers launch waves of death, and the island of Midway becomes the epicenter of a titanic clash. Among the American carriers escorting the fleet as if it were a steel sentinel from another era, appears a ship that should not exist. It is not a 10,000-ton cruiser from World War II. It is not an open-deck destroyer with 127mm guns. It is a Harley Burke Flight 3, a modern destroyer born 8 decades after Midway, with radars capable of tracking ballistic missiles, digitized combat systems, and an arsenal designed to dominate the seas of the 21st century. A ghost out of its time. A warrior without rival in 1942. And the question that haunts you from the very first second is simple, yet terrifying. What would happen if a modern destroyer fought at Midway? You immerse yourself in the atmosphere of that morning. The air is charged with tension. The Japanese Empire has deployed its strength. 4 carriers, Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, and Hiryu, accompanied by cruisers, destroyers, and battleships. Their objective is simple: lure the American carriers into a trap and destroy them. On the American side, the situation is desperate but strategic. Admiral Nimitz has bet everything on this encounter, using intelligence that deciphered Japanese plans. The carriers Enterprise, Hornet, and Yorktown are ready, but they know the difference in power is brutal. In this scenario, in the middle of the American fleet's escorts, something impossible appears. A Harley Burke destroyer. 155 meters of steel, 9,200 tons of displacement. A tower of sensors scanning the horizon with an SPY-6 radar, capable of tracking hundreds of targets simultaneously. You are there, watching it deploy its antennas, its vertical launcher sealed and silent. No one understands, no one knows where it came from, but it is here, in the middle of the chaos about to begin. What exactly has been unleashed in 1942? We are not talking about a simple ship armed with cannons. We are talking about a technological beast, SPY-6 AESA radar. It can track aircraft, ships, and missiles hundreds of kilometers away, processing data in real time. Missile arsenal. 96 vertical launch cells, SM-2 and SM-6 missiles to destroy planes tens of kilometers away. Tomahawk cruise missiles, capable of striking land targets over 100 kilometers away. Anti-submarine torpedoes, close-in defense. Phalanx CIWS guns firing 4,500 rounds per minute, able to shred any aircraft that dares to get too close. MK-45 127mm guns. Modern, precise, capable of firing guided projectiles. And most importantly, its speed and sensors. It can sail at over 30 knots, maneuver with precision, and see everything happening around it long before the enemy senses it. In comparison, Japanese ships depend on binoculars, optical rangefinders, and manual aiming. Japanese destroyers have guns, yes, but their range is limited and their accuracy questionable. The Harley Burke is in every sense a titan that should not be there. The Japanese carriers launched their waves of aircraft. First, the HID-3A dive bombers, descending like metallic hawks. Then, the Nakajima B-5N torpedo bombers, slow but lethal against carriers. And finally, the Zero fighters, agile for their era, but defenseless against the speed and precision of modern missiles. You watch from the deck as the SPY-6 radar captures each one of them, even over 200 kilometers away. In 1942, no one can see that far. No one can anticipate what is coming with such foresight. The captain of the modern destroyer orders fire. The first SM-2 missiles are launched, roaring from their vertical cells, leaving trails that cut the sky. In seconds, Japanese planes begin to fall, exploding in fireballs before even getting close. The pilots panic. They do not understand. There are no dogfights, no interceptors, only invisible death coming from a ship that seems untouchable. Each missile launched changes the battlefield. Entire squadrons are disintegrated before reaching attack range. The automatic phalanx cannons open fire when a few planes manage to get closer. The curtain of 20mm rounds turns the air into an impenetrable wall. Dive bombers, which under normal circumstances would make any carrier tremble, are shredded before releasing their bombs. Within minutes, dozens of Japanese aircraft have vanished. But here comes the first cliffhanger. The modern destroyer is not invincible. Each missile fired is one less in its arsenal. Its power is immense, but limited. In 1942, there will be no support ships capable of rearming its systems. What it carries on board is all it will ever have. Imagine the moment. The modern destroyer sails within the American formation, its radar drawing hundreds of glowing echoes on digital screens, each one representing an enemy plane, a distant ship, a lurking threat. In 1942, no sailor can comprehend what they are seeing. For them, detection is visual, combat is instinctive. For the modern destroyer, the enemy is a chessboard illuminated in real time. Absolute advantages. 1. Radar power. The SPY-6 not only sees for kilometers, it discriminates targets, classifies them, tracks them simultaneously. In an era when the Japanese relied on lookouts with binoculars, the modern destroyer can anticipate every move before it happens. It is the difference between fighting with eyes closed and fighting with night vision in a world of the blind. 2. Missiles of devastating range. Each SM-2 or SM-6 missile launched turns the sky into a graveyard. Dive bombers, which rely on closing within 1,000 meters to release their bombs, fall tens of kilometers away without even understanding what hit them. There is no evasive maneuver, no Zero fighter that can save them. Technology crushes them. 3. Impenetrable close-in defense. If a handful of planes manage to break through the missile curtain, the Phalanx CIWS awaits. A rain of 20mm rounds at 4,500 rounds per minute turns any approach into instant suicide. For a Japanese pilot trained in sacrifice, this invisible wall would be a brutal revelation. Courage is not enough against steel programmed to kill. For the Americans, the vision is almost religious. In the midst of the chaos of Midway, a ship that looks like a guardian angel shooting down waves of enemies. They do not know what it is, but they know it is changing the fate of the day. And here, we reach the final revelation. The modern destroyer, as powerful as it is alone. There is no logistics behind it, no shipyards capable of repairing it, no compatible fuel, no spare parts. Once it fires its last missile, it will become a ship like any other. Once it consumes its last liter of fuel, it will be stranded. When a critical part fails, it will become useless. The paradox is brutal. In the short term, it can transform the Battle of Midway into a massacre against the Japanese, but in the long term, it is doomed. Its very existence is a mystery, its permanence impossible. So, what would happen if a modern destroyer fought at Midway? It would change the first day, break Japanese strategy, raise American morale, and sow terror into enemy pilots. But it could not sustain the war. It would be a lightning in the middle of the storm, brilliant, blinding, impossible to ignore, but fleeting. And now the question rests in your hands. Would you prefer a moment of absolute power that changes the course of a battle, even if it fades instantly? Or a longer, slower, more painful struggle, but sustained with the weapons of its time? If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe, and don't forget to leave your opinion in the comment section.